Right, how's it going, everybody? This is Ismortah, and what I'm showing you right now is part 2 of the prologue for KDM, Kingdom Death Monster. I've already done the showdown of the prologue, and now I'm doing the first settlement phase of the population. Looks like the sound's good. I'm just putting this here as a guide as well. Sound looks like it checks out. All right. So let's get going on the settlement phase and what that's all about. So this here doubles as the hunt track on one side, and the other side the sort of steps you follow during the settlement phase. Not sort of steps, they are the steps. But there's a special difference for the prologue, special things that trigger. So that's going to be following along in the book. That's going to look very similar. Alright, so let's do it. After they defeat the White Lion, the survivors wander the darkness, drawn to a soft glow blooming on the horizon. In the first story's settlement phase, players create the settlement they will return to in every subsequent settlement phase. And you follow these steps. Also take account that not only did they find each other, but also one of them having this twilight sword and this weird shadowy sort of like ambiance and mist coming from her. They take her in their arms, her being disemboweled after all, hurt severely, and taken to this area, this clearing on the horizon. Set up, place the settlement board in the play area, along with the gear. These are now the returning survivors. The returning survivors gain +1 survival, which I've already done. But the max of the summon right now is 1, so everybody is now at 1. No one can go like beyond 1. Returning survivors heal any existing light and heavy injuries, which is true. Permanent injuries are not healed. So I believe disembowelment might be a permanent injury. So that's something I want to check, because that was a word that was used. So let me check in the back to see disembowelment. That may have been a permanent... I mean, it sounds permanent disemboweled after all. Let me look. I don't see anything here on that word. Let me check the damage track. Disemboweled. Your movement is reduced to 1 until the showdown ends, which already happened. If you suffer disemboweled during a showdown, at least one other survivor must end it. Otherwise, at the end of showdown, you are lost, dead. But how do I know that's a permanent injury? I mean, it sounds like a permanent injury, but I need to find more information on it. So let me see if I can't look up permanent injuries, and I'll try to find that right quick. Okay, because it was highlighted, it makes me think it is permanent injury. But let me see if I can find anything. Well, before I forget, I'll go ahead and write it down, because that sounds permanent. She was disemboweled, man. All right, so we're gonna write that down. So she has Twilight Sword. I don't even know how to spell disemboweled. Disemboweled. I missed a W. Bowl, disemboweled. Okay. Main character being disemboweled. That doesn't sound too great. Okay, let's look up permanent injury. If that's a word. Persistent injury. Permanent. An injury to a survivor does not heal with time. Its effects always apply to that survivor unless cancelled by any other effect. But how do I know what a permanent injury is? Like, how do you know if something is a permanent injury or not? Like, that's what I don't understand. Let me look some more real quick. It doesn't say permanent injury at all. Yeah, if it was permanent, it would say this is permanent, which it doesn't. So I'm going to assume it's not permanent. It even goes out of the way and say that certain things only happen until the end of the showdown. So it just really hurt. Okay, so I will continue. Permanent injuries, though, are not healed. I'll just mark that she was disemboweled just in case it comes up later. Okay. Add the names of returning survivors to the population list on settlement record sheet. I've already done that. I have names that I'm saving, but then also have names that I'm using. So once I mark the gender, then that shows that I'm using that name as toward the total population. So the population is going to be the total number, and then these are people that I'm using that are survivors in the population. So population will always be the total number of everybody. That's what I'm going to do on that. All right. So first we gain endeavors. I'm just following along what it says. Accept settlement, survivors return, which they did. Gain endeavors. Endeavors are the creative energy accumulated from experience. Each returning survivor generates one endeavor. All right. So that's these tokens. I just use them to also indicate, as I said last time, when someone's knocked down, so I don't damage the miniature. Is all. All right. So we get 4. These are ability to do stuff. So we got endeavors. I'll just put them here. Update the timeline. So 1 lantern year has passed, because you normally do the settlement phase, like you see here. For a lantern year, you normally do the settlement phase, and then you go on a hunt. All right, so update the timeline. So our lantern year 1. Okay. Find the first day settlement event card. So the settlements are here. Well, no, these are buildings, and then the settlements at the bottom. Buildings I'll just show when they come revealed, but the settlements I put at the bottom, and I believe I had the first day separated, so it's not in the rest. Yeah, so here's the first day. Future settlements are random. Okay, so the first day. First day determines the population of your settlement and is always played when a new settlement is created. Follow the rules and record results on your settlement record sheet. During subsequent settlement phases, you draw random settlement events from the deck. Okay, so first we do the first day settlement event, and then we'll do other stuff, as you see here. Like you see on this board here, we're on number 4 now. I'll also use a tracker so we know where we're at. We update the timeline. There's no death count. Then you do milestone story events, either this or scripted or read, and then you do developing stuff, and then sending people out and doing stuff. So no one died, so we're doing story events now. And these are the 4 we have to spend. Okay. Here's what the card looks like. The first day, and I'll read it to you. Just wanted to show you the pick in particular. The first day. Okay. The first day settlement event will help set up your settlement. It is the first event of any new campaign. And also take into account, like I said, that I'm having other special things happen as well, like I had already mentioned. Actually, no, I'll mention that after this, because this is more discovering who they are. So I'll bring up that again later. The survivors wander, drawn to a blooming light in the distance. They find the serene comfort of a towering pile of lanterns and a small collection of scared people. On a deep, instinctual level, they know this area is safe, and they make it their home. Roll 1d10 to determine your starting population and record the result on the back of the settlement record sheet. Choose and record genders for unnamed survivors. You may name an unnamed survivor and create their survivor record sheet at any time during the settlement phase. And so it's not 1-to-1. What number you roll determines how many survivors you start with. You're always going to start more than 4 because, you had 4 on the hunt and then you found people, right? Ooh, that's a low number. I rolled a 4. So I start with 8 unnamed survivors and all returning survivors. So I found 8 people. Okay, so my population is 12. Because I have 4 plus 2. Okay. Next, return to the settlement section of the first story and proceed to the story event Returning Survivors in the book. The first settlement event card will not be used again during this campaign. Do not include it in the settlement event deck. Alright, so now I turn to Returning Survivors in the book, and this goes away, never to be seen again. In the future, we randomly pull from this deck for what settlements occur. So I'm going to have that face up just so if it mixes, it doesn't mix again. Actually, you know what, I'll put it over here. All the extra crap we're not using again. This is all battle stuff. Actually, you know what, I'll do the opposite. Alright, keep it separate. Alright, so now we turn to Returning Survivors. And I have a kitty in my chair. Alright. So I don't know what page it's on, so we'll go to the table of contents. We have this bookmarked. Returning Survivors, page 163. Returning Survivors. Let me see if you guys can see that. Sorta, kinda. No worries, I'll put it up here. Well, maybe if I just do that, that way it tilts a little bit. Okay. But I'll read it to you. I just want you to see the art. Really. I'll tell you what. I'll do this so you can see the pic. So this is the lantern horde that they found. And this is what I'm reading. Different stuff happens. Alright, so first off, nominate a survivor to utter the first words. Because Isma is the only one with this weapon, all these people are just drawn to this lantern. But she has this, what's Twilight Sword, and she's like emitting all this dark haze. That I'll have her mutter the first words. Symbolically have it be her. The nominated survivor steps forward and gains +1 courage, so give her +1 courage. And then they lead the other survivors in learning to speak to one another. They discuss their situation, realizing they must hunt to live. And the white lion to add the white lion to the quarry list on the settlement record sheet. So now, the survivors can hunt the white lion. I'm just trying to find where I add that. Oh, it's added by default because when you start the game, you get it. Corey's white lion's already filled. Just wanted to show you where I was looking. Okay. Language is your first innovation, and it will spark the creation of the innovation deck. Build the innovation deck now. And it says language is my first innovation, so I'm assuming I already have that, which it says I do. So I'm going to pull that from well, let me find it first. So there's a lot of innovations. A lot. The innovation deck represents the potential cultural and technological growth of your settlement. It will grow throughout the campaign as you gain new innovation cards. Find the 6 innovation cards with language consequence listed under the title. And the settlement does gain the language innovation. So, first things first, I need to find the language innovation, and then I make a innovation deck with just these cards it mentions here that have the language consequence as things I can build because we've learned language. So right now I'm just looking for the language one. There's a lot of cards here. So here's language. So we start with language by default. All survivors gain the encourage survival action. Once per round if standing, you can spend 1 survival to call out to all non-deaf survivors and they stand if knocked down. Sort of like what happened when we injured the white lion last session, how everyone got encouraged. And so people can now do that just by spending a survival themselves. So I'm going to mark encourage on everyone's card, so everyone can do dodge or encourage as an action with a survival point. Okay. And it also has it be survival limit +1. So the question then now is, does it become 2? Like, do you have 1 by default and then it becomes 2? I mean, on this board, it says your survival limit by default is 1. And language says survival limit is +1, so I'm going to assume then that makes it 2. I could be wrong, but that's what I'm reading. So I'm going to roll with it. Now I just lost the paper I just picked up. Where did I put it? All right. No, this is the older stuff. Where's my page? Where did my page go? Oh my goodness. It's hiding in plain sight. There we go. Hiding in plain sight. All right. So your survival limit starts at 1. And this gives me +1. So now my survival limit is 2. So if I ever gain survival, now people can have up to 2. I'm just going to mark on this side so I know what bonus it gives. So I'll just say here, +1 survival. This way, if I want to go back and figure out how much survival I'm supposed to get, I know. And see, it even says here, like, survival limit +1, everyone gets encouraged, and then add language consequences to innovation deck. The games tell me to do that, but that's what the card also says to do. All right. So the language consequences is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So let me find those in the innovation deck. The easiest way you probably do, instead of looking for all the words, because it's a lot to remember, is just here where you see the consequence, look for all the ones that say language. That's what I'm going to do. And I should be able to make partition too. Like these are all art. These are music. That's education. That's art. These are faith. That's home. These are convictions. These are principles. That's something else. Science, education, faith. Faith, education. I don't think I saw science yet. Home. Science. Science, science. Education. This way I know whenever I add something to the deck, I then look for the rest of those. Home. Education. Music. Oops. Language. Principle. Principle. Language. That was not as useful as I thought, system of doing it. Language. No, not as easy as I thought. Because the language is the root to a lot of these, and I just pulled them all out. So, you live to fix it? Oh, that wasn't actually all of them either. I have a lot of ones here. All right. Okay, I think I got them all. Let me see. I should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'll just double check, make sure I got them all. Ammonia, drums, hovel, inner lantern, paint, snopson, and I learned language. So I have language. These other innovation cards are not part of my innovation deck yet. This is my innovation deck, things that I can learn next. And then as I learn particular things, this would branch and I learn more possible things I can learn that then those are added to the innovation deck. That's how it works. Shuffle these 6 cards together to form your settlement's innovation deck. Place face down the destined space on the settlement board. The innovation deck is persistent. Make sure to preserve the unique combination of cards in your deck between play sessions. Alright, so I'm just going to shuffle this deck. But we're not getting anything else right now. It depends what I do during the settlement phase. But this is my deck of settlement cards. All right. So anyway, like you see here, here's the innovation deck. And current innovations, I have this one. I don't have any principles. Settlement locations will go here. All right, glowing center. Armed with language, the nominated survivor aptly names the glowing center of their home the Lantern Horde. The settlement gains the Lantern Horde settlement location. Search your settlement location cards for Lantern Horde and place it face up in your play area. The Lantern Horde is the source of all innovations, and for the locations that the settlement will develop. Alright, so we have our first location, which is... And here's a quick checklist of all things to do right here as well. A little smaller guide, but you can track it here. This is just cool because I could have this set up so it's always in the right space and then just go down this tracker on what to do. So, which I'll probably do going forward, to be honest, but anywho. Alright, so Lantern Horde. This is the first settlement location. Show you the pick. And then you can do stuff. The stars are different things. That's where you. That's the symbol of the. Now the word escapes me. Endeavor, and you can spend endeavors to do stuff. All right. So anyway, this is the settlement that we got. I'll just put it here. The Lantern Horde. The nominated survivor sits in front of the Lantern Horde in awe and gains +1 understanding. All right. They must skip the next hunt phase as they ponder the meaning of existence. Which is honestly fine because she was going to miss the next hunt phase anyway because she's severely injured and had to skip, so she'll just skip. Check off the skip hunt box in the survivor's record sheet. They cannot be selected as a departing survivor this phase. Then return to the first story to complete the settlement phase. So the first story, I believe, was in the front here. Let me just double check. It says return to the first story. I want to make sure it's not... Find the... So first day, we just did that. After settlement day, settlement ends, trigger the story event listed in the Lantern Year returning survivors. Which I just did. Got the innovation deck, got the language. Update death count, which we've already done. Now we check for milestones. The first time the death count is triggered, you would, in principle, a story event. We've already done the one story event. We don't have any other story events to trigger. So now we go to develop. And develop is where you can spend endeavors to do stuff. Alright, so my choices right now with endeavors is I can build these 3 different locations. I can innovate if I'll spend one of 3 different resources to get 2 innovation, to draw 2 innovation cards, keep 1, and put the rest in the deck. Meaning from the deck that we made, I could draw 2, choose 1. And then add new cards depending on what the drawn one tells me to add to the deck. What I could also do is what's shown here. The Shadow Ritual, that I could share 1 weapon proficiency or fighting art with 4 survivors. Get a disorder, have to skip next hunt, but they all get that as well. That fighting art or proficiency. But since I have nothing to share, that one is not of value right now. Right now, people just need weapons and stuff. Alright. So we're not going to do that one. But making stuff in order to do stuff, that may be worthwhile. So let me show you what materials we currently have to use from. So we have language, we have a lantern horde, we have 4 endeavors to spend, and these are the resources we have. So we have 1 scrap, we have, looks like 4 bones, one scrap, 4 bones, 2 organs, and 2 hides. So technically I could spend 1 of each type and endeavor to get another innovation. But then I also have 3 more endeavors that I can use to make stuff. So I could make the bonesmith, the skinnery, and the organ grinder. So these are the 3 different ones I can make. You have the bonesmith. They can make bone weapons. The skinnery, that you can make armor from skin. And then the organ grinder, that you can make some other items with organs. So I can make stuff with organs, stuff from skin, stuff from bone. So what I have right now. Well, it's what I can choose to make, I should say. So I really need stats, and I really need weapons, and I really need armor. So they're all actually good. So for that reason, I think I'm going to use... Well, I mean, but I don't have to make all 3 right out the gate. So I'll do this one at a time. Okay, so I'm going to spend 1. Spend 1 of these. And I'll make the skinnery. That way we can take blows. So we're making a skinnery. Let me arc this down so you can see a little bit. All right, so we have a lantern horde. And I'm making a skinnery. And then I use another one to make the organ grinder. And I go like we need to make weapons, and we need to do shit. So use another one to make the bonesmith. Okay. And then I got 1 left. So the 1 left, let's see if any of these open new possibilities. So the other endeavors this opened up uses materials, and I don't have that many, and I really want to equip my people, so that's probably not a good idea. But I could do an innovation. This is something I could do if I spend materials. But then now I could also make stuff from hides and organs and bones. So I have 2 hides, 2 organs, and 4 bones. 2 of which are cat claws, and I have great cat bone and a skull. And specialty pieces would be used for, specialty stuff. Plus, when I go on a hunt next time, I have to bring a survivor other than Isma because she has to stay. Which I have a list of characters. It just means I have to bring another character. Okay. I mean, they do have their shards. They do have luck. Stone Nose you can use in Endeavor to give some more stuff. Let me show you what some of the stuff would actually do. So we have the Organ Grinder and the Skinnery. And what was the other one? Bone something? Bonesmith? Okay. That's weird that I'm missing the noses. I know I have those because I had them on characters. I don't know why that's missing from this deck. I'm trying to find it. That I'm not 100% sure what's going on here. Why is the plume so large? Like, it could be that large, but I don't think it really is. Maybe it is. Because on the backs of the cards, in case you put stuff incorrectly, for example, like that's the front, the back would say what deck it's from, like this place, the Plumery. So if something was sorted incorrectly, if I look on the back, it would not have Plumery in the back. So I think I put something up in the wrong place. Because Stone Nose should have been there. So let me see if I can find it. Rare Gear, Lantern, Jackson, Katarian. Gotta see where the hell it was put. I can't find it. Let me check these 3 right quick, make sure everything's put. Because see, a Stone Nose should be part of the Organ Grinder. So that's weird. It's not there. So let's make sure the deck for each only has stuff that should be there. I think I mixed them up. Okay, so this is all bone stuff. No, it's all skin stuff. So I know these are correct, unless there's cards floating somewhere else. Just all the Stone Noses, which I know I've used before, are not here at all. Same with the Lucky Charms. It's weird. It's like I'm missing core cards that I had in the deck. I mean, that I used last time when I played the game. Are missing. That's what's kind of weird. So I think stuff must be thrown together or something stupid. Because, I mean, like, those are all cards that we're actively using. It's actively not here. Which is weird. Very weird. I might have to look through all these before I continue, unfortunately, guys. I'm sorry. I just can't proceed if I can't know what I can make. And that's stuff I used in the previous campaign. Weird. Alright, so I just grabbed 2 more decks and was looking and see if we can find it right quick. Because Stone Noses and Lucky Charms, for example, I used heavily. And currently cannot find. So I get that them not being in the deck because I took them out and they were actively used. But then where's all the actively used gear that everybody was using? Yeah, that's what I'm missing. Not all these different partition sections, but I had a whole stack of cards that was the active player gear. That's what's missing, actually. So let me see if we can find it. That's really what I'm missing. Like, weapons I was currently using, armor I was currently using, as well as all the charms that I listed, and noses, they were all used. So they're all probably with that deck of cards. So again, sorry for the delay. Just did not realize I was missing that. And of course, when I do the highlight, I can edit out stuff not pertinent to the actual gameplay and game story, so just bear with me for this. It's like, where did that stack of cards go? I get them all being together, not part of this deck, but where's that stack? Yeah, it's not. It's not here or there. And it was a stack of cards, so it's got to be here somewhere. It should be one of these stacks here because it has the storage space for that size of card. So very odd. It's like I'm missing that whole stack. Well, this is mixed up. Maybe this is it. I think I may have found it. Maybe. There's Mask Maker cards here. These are Organ Grinder cards I just found. So maybe that was it? That still makes me wonder that if I'm missing gear also, but anyway, I found that. Hopefully I had Stone Noses also. I didn't actually look what I added. Yep, Stone Noses, Lucky Charms, other trinkets, that's gotta be it. Alright, I think we're back to normal. Sorry about that. Alright. The reason being is because it could influence what I do. Because like I could add more Stone Noses with an Endeavor, for example, from the Organ Grinder, and a Stone Nose would give you another Insanity, another Survival, and Survival helps you guys survive. So that's like really fucking good, really important. And it costs nothing except an Endeavor. And then the Lucky Charms, the reason why I was eyeballing that is because they add to your luck. And so you can stack somebody luck, for example. So let's go ahead and start making some stuff. So I don't think I want to innovate yet because I need to protect my people, and I already got a language anyway, and some new facilities that I can choose from stuff. So I think what I should do is, first of all, use this last endeavor to get a stone nose. So I have a stone nose now. And then Rawhide adds armor, and then you get a set bonus if you have the whole set. And then if you have certain cards, certain combinations that connect to puzzle pieces that could activate certain abilities on those stuff as well. Let's see here. Bandages, I can remove bleeds. So that's an interesting choice to make. They only cost 1 hide, just so I can stop bleeding if someone gets really bad, including yourself. When you do drum, you can encourage everybody around you, which is pretty cool. Not just one person. And then everyone else gets +1 insanity, which is like more mental defense. So that's an interesting choice from the Skinnery. Rawhide Vest getting +1 evasion is a good choice too, but especially if you can stack evasion. So I don't think I'll be able to stack it right out the gate, so I don't think that'd be worth it. Rawhide Headband, you can change the order of AI cards, so you can essentially delay an AI card you don't like, for example, or purposely put at the top so when you do damage, you can remove it. So that's an interesting way to manipulate a deck. That's an interesting choice. Otherwise, the other armor choices I don't think just is really big right now because I don't know where I can stop damage, and I don't know where people are getting damage. So it's sort of like a guessing game. But whereas these are like guaranteed things I can do. So those are my first choices for this first one. For organs, I'm really thinking about possibly Lucky Charm, just because you can add luck to something, so you have a higher chance of crit. And if I do that on top of someone that already has luck, like 3 survivors, and do punching, I have a higher chance of doing damage. I just have a lower chance of hitting. Because you have to roll an 8+ to hit. But then you have a high chance to crit. So, I don't know. Or I could just give it to someone to raise their crit chance anyway. So that's what I'm thinking for this. Lucky Charms to raise the damage, the potential to do heavy damage when I do hit. Control the AI deck. Remove bleeds. Maybe this one, hold off for now because that's not huge. And then we have the bones. We can choose between weapons. So I've already spent all my endeavors. Now just what gear do I want to make? And then I'll gear up the survivors. And then I'm gonna end this rest of the session. All right, so there's a lot of different bone weapons we can make. Some of these weapons though are fragile, and if they're fragile, that means if I do like one of these and it says hard zone or spot or something, then that means frail weapons would actually break when they hit it. I forget the exact term for it, but I could make some gathering weapons, but I need to get ammonia first, which I don't have. Skull helm is actually really good. 2 bones to make or 1 skull. If you suffer a severe head injury, instead of taking an injury, this is destroyed, so it stops you from getting killed by getting hit in the head, and it just by itself adds 3. So that's a really attractive piece to potentially get. But it's fragile, meaning that once it gets destroyed once, it gets destroyed forever. On a perfect hit, which it did a lot in the last battle, you then gain 1 survival. This basically has the same stats as the Founding Stone, but you roll 3 times instead of 2, so that's an interesting choice. And it didn't say it's frail either, so that's interesting. Upgrade. I really don't want to do anything frail. That's why I kind of don't want to do this, even though it has better protection for somebody. It's because you lose it permanently, and shit's hard to come by in this game. But yeah, a lot of these bone weapons are frail, unfortunately. Yeah, if I hit a super dense hit location, it will break. Unfortunately. See, I can make a bone club. Which is a better weapon, but I can't move and attack at the same turn. I can only just attack. That's an interesting choice. Same with the bone dagger. I haven't looked at the resources yet. I just thought they were interesting choices. The bone club takes 3 bones. That's hard to make. The bone dagger takes 1 bone, but this takes 3. But this is basically the same thing as a Founding Stone, but you can attack 3 times instead of 2. But it's still interesting. So I think those are the choices for what I can do just right now. Is what I would. Plus, there's also the whole thing of certain resources you can only use for certain things. So like the skull you can use for any bone, but the skull you can also only use as a skull to make this. The cat pieces you can use as bones, but then there are also just particular things once you learn how to craft pieces from a particular animal that you need, in particular a claw or a great cat bone. So I don't really want to use these right now if I have to, for that reason, which limits my bone options, obviously, just because I don't know what I could do with a piece in particular. But this is really interesting though, because it adds a lot of defense. So to have to get hit, I have to take 6 hits to the head, 6 damage to the head, in order to pop it. And if you popped it, it would save that character from death. So it is interesting. I really don't want to lose it. But that is interesting. I haven't made this before. And it's just like, that's a lot of defense to the head. That's actually really good. It just, when it breaks, you lose it forever. Okay, so I don't want to use any cat stuff yet, so I'll go ahead and remove those from the equation. And we have a stone nose. So we have one scrap, which I haven't seen anything yet that I can use a scrap for to make. Like I can if I have heat. You know what I mean? So I'll cross that off. So this is what I can currently use. I have 2 organs, 2 hides, and 1 bone. So if I only have 1 bone, then we're not making the bone club now. And the bone dagger is basically a founding stone, but with more attempts. So I don't know if that's worth the resource, to be honest. So I don't think I'll do that either. Now the skull helm, that is an interesting choice. This protects someone from death. But in this game, people can die. So that's not a huge thing. What's more important in this game is sharing abilities with learnings with everyone in your settlement so they can all grow equally and accumulating more and better gear. Losing gear is a problem. So that's why I'm not entirely sold about taking severe head injuries. So that means if I take 5 damage to the head, this blows up. But it is good. You just don't want to roll that you got hit on the head. You just don't want to take damage to the head. Plus, it only protects 1 of 4 characters, too. So it's not like it protects everyone from head damage. But, as I saw when I fought the cat, he did an attack that he specifically targeted the head. And I got lucky on the roll. So I don't know. Might be worth it. That's the only thing I've seen so far that uses a skull in particular. Cat stuff, I just don't know what cat stuff can be used for. So I kind of just want to hold on to it. But man, that club really is interesting that we saw. Only because that hits almost like Twilight Sword. Twilight Sword is a 1 asterisk 9, and this is a 265. It's interesting. I guess I'm doing founding stones for now. So I think what I'll do is, I'll use 2 organs to make 2 lucky charms, if it only takes 1, which it does. So I can make 2 lucky charms with these. So when I do damage, I have a higher chance of getting those awesome crits. And then I have 2 hides, which I can use to make a headband and a bandage. So I have some protection to the head, and but I have to connect puzzle pieces in order to activate this. So actually that wouldn't help me yet. So I don't know if I want to do that yet, because you need to connect the puzzle piece in order to get the bonus of the headband ability. But bandages is good. As an action, I can remove bleeds. And the skull is good. Just really good head protection. So I could use a hide. Oh, but this is monster. That's right, that's monsters cat stuff too, isn't it? I don't think I want to use any cat's materials yet. So that means I only have 1 hide. So I can use this hide to make bandages, these to make lucky charms, not the cereal, And I could use that for the skull helm. I mean, it is good. If you get hit in the head, that could be instant death. So I don't know. I mean, it's good protection. Shit. I'm just afraid of somebody. I mean, because someone could die multiple ways. It's just if you die, if you potentially have the chance of dying by a head injury, that would blow up instead. So I mean, I don't know. I think I should do it. So I'll do it. All right. So we're not using any of these, so I'll put these back to where they're supposed to go. So we're using 2 materials to make 2 Lucky Charms. So these will be archived. So now we have a nose, 2 Lucky Charms. Then we're using a monster hide to make a bandage. So I have someone that could heal bleeds. And then I have 1 person that could at least not get killed more easily by getting hit to the head. I think that's pretty good. And I can make more of these. It's just they take either 2 bones or 1 skull. And since I got a skull, it's like, wow, it's really fortunate. So I'll gamble and do it. So we still have 5 resources, but we made 2 Lucky Charms, 1 bandage, 1 skull, and 1 nose. Cool. All right. So the stuff that we have is here. So we have language, and we have this gear that I can add to the gear grid. And we still have our 5 other resources. Cool. So now we're moving to prepare departing survivors. All right. I noticed that I could have done augury to do intimacy. I just won't do that yet. I noticed that I had that. You could try to get higher population, and by trigger intimacy with the special rules I'm adding to the game, you could also give everyone involved +1. That would be good. That would actually be better than Stone Nose, actually. But it only affects those that were involved in the lovemaking. So the child and the 2 parents would get an additional +1 to something. Whereas the Stone Nose just gives you more survival and sanity, not stats. Plus, there's a chance of failure, too. So you know what? Yeah, because I don't want to lose any additional resources because they're all cat stuff. Of course, if I lost a resource, I could just lose the Broken Lantern. It's not super terrible. Plus, you gain 1 understanding. No, I'll keep with what I got. I'll probably do that next time. After I do an actual hunt. All right. So next up, prepare departing survivors. So first thing I do is add another person that I could use. So Isma can't be in, so I want to add another girl. So I'll add Dusa as a female, and that'll be the girl in her place. Okay. I still have population 12. I'm just giving some names to them, to the people. Now the people currently I've named in my population is Isma, Klingeth, Stahavium, Citroni, and Dusa. So I'll create a player card for Dusa. So she's female, and then she gets encouraged. And then she starts with 1 survival, whereas everyone else currently has, well, 1, but the limit's now 2. And then because of my thing, they get a +1 permanent stat of my choosing as well. So I have 3 people with luck. I have 1 person with evasion. If I add the speed, that's more chances to attack, and that's interesting because then, you know, that way the only chance I can, if you have a high speed, the only chance you can miss is the damage, not from trying to do the attack at all. So I'm going to double check that, but I think this Dusa may add the speed actually. That way I have some variety in people with better at different things. Let me check that right quick. A starting survivor's speed is 0. Speed is added to the survivor's weapon speed to determine the number of rolls to hit in an attack. Speed can be a negative. Did I play that wrong? Speed is the number of rolls to hit in an attack? I thought the speed equaled number of dice you rolled, and then that's how many potential hits. Was that wrong? Let me check something right quick. I would rather, if anything, like you saw, I did make a few mistakes in the prologue because that's more of a learning game. The learning session. Let me check that. Speed. Because I had thought speed equaled the number of dice that you roll to hit, but that may not be correct. It might be you have that many chances to do 1 hit, not multiple hits. That's what I want to check. This doesn't really answer my question. So let me see if I can find the answer somewhere else. This will actually, this will get more fluid after this first time. This is me relearning the game. I have not played this game in forever. So bear with me. We are learning together. I see an example of talking about speed. This is like super vague. Speed is added to the survivor's weapon to determine the number of rolls to hit in an attack. So if I'm reading that correctly, then I may have played incorrectly. It sounds like you have that many chances to do a hit, but you can only do 1 hit per attack? That's what it sounds like, as opposed to every roll is a different hit. Because like when I was doing the monster, they rolled multiple times, and that shows how many hits. Speed determines the number of attack rolls. You draw 1 hit location card for each hit. Speed determines the number of attack rolls in the attack. Accuracy is the attack roll required to hit, and the strength is the modifier to wound. So therefore, if I keep adding the speed, I keep adding to how many times I swing the weapon. Unless it says it's cumbersome or something that I can only... Well, it wasn't cumbersome. It was... Cumbersome means you can't move and swing at the same time. Slow means you can only, at max, attack once, not multiple times. So, okay, we're going to roll with that. So I'm going to add this person's speed, because maybe there's a weapon that I want to attack many times, maybe. All right, so I'm going to do that. So Dusa's going to have +1 speed, permanently. Okay? And she has female, 1 survival, also has encourage, and sanity starts at 0. Okay. But I'm also swapping some gear around because Isma right now can't be in. So her waist is 0, so she's going to get 1 to waist. I'm going to swap out these cards, as well as Twilight Sword, because that goes with Isma. So she has the cloth and the founding stone. And so I'm going to write these numbers here in these boxes. That way, at a glance, I know what I'm rolling. And these are the totals, which include temporary modifiers. That's how I could just do math once, and then I can always, from then on, just read what it is, as opposed to doing math every time. All right. right, so Founding Stone is accuracy 2. No, I already did it wrong. Accuracy's speed 2, and this is +1, so it's speed 3. Accuracy is 7 plus, so I'd write 7. And then strength is 1. Evasion 0. Luck 0. Okay. And then Kalingeth has accuracy 7, strength 1, evasion 0, luck 1, and speed 2. Snahavium has accuracy 7, strength 1, evasion 0, luck 1, speed 2. And Citroni has accuracy 7, strength 1, evasion 0, luck 1, speed 2. Now it seems like I could have someone punch, so they have a higher chance of hitting, but yours a higher chance of damaging. You just have a lower chance of hitting. So someone with a lot of speed would potentially be better to punch with because you get more chances, potentially. I don't know. It's just interesting because if I had someone with a whole bunch of luck also have deadly with the punch, then if I roll a 7 or above, it would count as a critical hit. So that's what's interesting. I kind of almost want to chance it for this fight. But I could also choose and not gamble all the time. But it's potential to do so. I may have punch primarily. Just for that. 3 chances to get an 8. And then when I do so, if I get a 7 or above, it's a crit. It is interesting. I think I'll do that. I'll write punch just so I know what it's doing. I'll say unarmed. I'll experiment with that. So if I do that, then this gets 1 accuracy, then is an 8, which is worse. But then I get +1 luck, so instead of being a 0, it's... Oh, you know what? That's a stupid person to do it on. Because she doesn't have bonus luck. She just has bonus speed. I could give her more luck, though. No. That sounds good to do it. I'll do it. Fuck it. I just realized somebody else, if I did that, who already has 1 luck, would have 3 luck. So it'd be a 7 instead of an 8. No, I'll keep punch as option, but I think it's better to have more, I'll keep what I'm doing. I will keep what I'm doing. It's better to at least get a hit and then crit or miss. Alright, so this is 7. Luck is 0. Strength 1. 7, 1. 3, 0. Okay. So everyone has a cloth of Founding Stone. These 4. Alright, so next I'm going to distribute this gear. I already have language, so I'll put that over here. That's already recorded. I have a stone nose that gives someone +1 survival and +1 insanity. I'll give that to Dusa since she's a totally new character. That way she'll have stuff when she arrives at the showdown. So she'll get the stone nose. And then I have 2 lucky charms, which I could split on 2 different people or dogpile 1 person. So I can have 2 people hit on an 8+, or I could have a 9+ and a 7+. I think I may experiment having multiple people, because what if that one person's out of range or knocked down? Then, you know. So I think I'll split it for the time being. Oh, actually, no, I can't, because I need actually to connect 2 blues in order to get the lucky charm. I need to have 2... Oh, I read this incorrectly. You need to have connected of 2 blues to get the +1 luck. This currently, when you connect it, isn't even enough for 1 luck. Shit. I did not read that correctly. So I'd have to do something like this. That way the gear grid has 2 blue boxes. That way both activate +1 luck. So I have to give 1 person all of the luck. Okay. So if Saturna Dusa was my name from Elementor's Light and Dark, if Dusa has all the speed, I'll give Satroni all of the luck. So Satroni will have the bandages and the lucky charms in order to activate the luck. So she'll have 2 lucky charms and bandages connected like this. I don't know if you can see. Yeah. So there's still 4 more spaces for future gear. So then Satroni has +2 luck. So instead of, but only +1 permanent. So the luck right now is 3. Luck 3. It was speed 3. And then that leaves the skull helm. So I want the skull helm to go on someone that could do the most damage, for sure. Because you need people to pop once it can't stop. So Klingus Nahavium, I'll keep how they are. If one person's healing, the other person should be doing the damage. So I'm kind of thinking I should put on Dusa. That way, if this is more attempts at damage, more likely they would get retaliated, is what I'm thinking. Whereas if you crit, there should be a retaliation on damage. Alright, so I'll give Dusa the Skull Helm. So that's 3 to head. So I put a 3. Right. Cool. So now what I'll do is I'll do the next steps in this, and then I'll end with recording all of this stuff in the settlement, and then that'll be the end of the stream. Well, I guess it's part 10, record and archive resources. Right. So that I'll record everything. Okay, cool. All right, so I'm done with development phase. So now prepare starting survivors, which I've sort of done, but let me get back to that. If you plan to continue, choose a monster from the quarry list on the settlement record sheet and decide which survivors will set off to the hunt, which I already chose these 4. Only the white lions currently available, which that's what we'll do. Any eligible returning survivors may become departing survivors. Or players may pull a new survivor from someone's population, which I've done. Place any gear your summon has acquired in department survivors' gear grids and update each survivor's armor points, which I've done. Award any bonus from gear and innovations that affect departing survivors. I don't have anything currently that affects departing, but I have some stuff that's triggered when you archive it or if you arrive. And arrive means arrive at the showdown. Or arrive at the hunt. Either way, not now. I'll look up arrive when we do it. Okay. There's no Nemesis Encounter, so then we skip to 10. Record and archive resources. Record any unspent resources and unworn gear in the settlement storage on the settlement record sheet. So that's good to notice because before it seemed like if I don't spend resources, then I have a higher chance of getting those resources later. But if I don't spend it, it sounds like it's recorded on the settlement sheet and those cards are archived anyway. So you can get, in other words, you can get more resources than cards that are available. It's just whenever you hunt, you have those same odds at what you do. Otherwise, it's like there's an advantage to not spending resources, so you have a higher chance of getting everything you need. So that's interesting, and we'll play that way. So that's fine. This way I have more cat stuff whenever I find more cats and learn what to do with cat stuff. So that's fine. Okay, so now I'm going to record everything. But I'm not just going to record the resources. I'm also going to say who has what gear. That way, when I archive this and mix everything together, it doesn't matter. All right, so we're going to archive. We're going to archive, and then we're going to end the settlement phase. Okay. But this is definitely the least entertaining part, so if you want to log off now, I completely understand. I'm just recording the campaign thus far, and then that'll be it for this evening. All right. So first I'll do, language is already recorded, so I can store that in my stuff. These I'm going to record and then archive per what it says. So I have a, and that's interesting because when you store stuff, you don't have a limit. Things go back to deck, so you can get a lot more stuff. So really, it's only advantageous to get as most resources possible per boss, as opposed to thinking you can hoard it to game the system so there's a smaller deck to choose from or something. So, good to know. So I have a broken lantern. I have lion claw ×2. I have a great cat bone. And I have white fur. All right, so these are going to be archived. This I'll keep with the people. And actually all the gear is archived too. So actually I can put everything back, actually, because I write it all down. That is true. I know what to get at. All right, so gear and resources. So I'll just say who has what gear over here. So I have Isma. Has Twilight Sword. Okay, so she's done. And then Dusa has Skull Helm. Stone Nose. Founding Stone. And Cloth. Alright. Kalingoth has Founding Stone. And Cloth. And Citroni has Lucky Charm ×2, Bandages, Founding Stone, and Cloth. And then, actually I had 5 people, that's right. And then Snahavium has Founding Stone and Cloth. So I have 2 with Founding Stone and Cloth, 1 person that has Stone Nose, Skull Helm in addition, and 1 that has Lucky Charms and Bandages in addition. That's what she wrote. Hope that's good. Alrighty. So that is it. I've stored my resources, stored my gear. I wrote all the recording information on the character cards or on the sheet. And yeah, population 12. Alright, so that ends summon phase. And that ends the stream. Well, thanks for watching. Again, this was the second part of the prologue. The game always typically goes, you do the summon phase and then the hunt and then the showdown. But for Lantern Years, you trigger a day's over at the beginning of the next year. Like that time has passed. So, anywho, we did the prologue, we did the hunt, we did summons, and there'll be future streams that I continue this campaign. as I said on the very first stream, the Twitch, I will be updating the Twitch schedule to reflect this change. But for Twitch, there won't be a schedule. It's going to be ad hoc when I show it. So if you see it on, enjoy. But otherwise, I will make highlights, which I'll probably cut out some erroneous me looking for shit or looking up definitions. But the highlights will be either of just the hunt and showdown and Nemesis Encounter, or just the settlement phase. That way, if you just want to see the hunts, boom, or if you want to see the story stuff, boom, and separate. That way, it doesn't go 3 to 4 hours. Each one is a couple hours long, so it's digestible. So anyway, that's the plan, and there'll be more to come, probably this week. Thanks for watching. Again, this is Ismortah. And also, if you haven't checked it out, the Elementor's Line of Dark Kickstarter is still going, so definitely be a Patreon and help out a new game designer that's local to Carson City, Nevada, if you have the opportunity. Thanks for watching, everybody. Catch you next time.